Hi, I thought it might be a good time for another chat 'cause I just got back from Portland where I was staging Balanchine's first movement of Concerto Barocco and first movement of Serenade for some really fabulous, talented young students up there, the Portland Ballet, which is a school pre-professional company run by Nancy Davis and Jim Lane, who used to be in my Los Angeles Ballet for 10 years, but they were predominantly trained at SAB. And it got me to thinking about how important the classes were and the style was to getting Balanchine right. And then while I was there, I gave an interview to a writer, and she asked me some questions that did make me think again. But before I get into all that, I just want to recap something because the reason I started all this, these video chats, was because New York City Ballet Board search for a new director. And when I received the criteria, I saw that I checked off all the boxes, that everything they wanted I had done. And even though I've been away from New York for many years, I've still been very active, staging Balanchine for major companies around the world, including the Mariinsky and the Paris Opera and the Bolshoi, etc. And also teaching, and I always insist on teaching the company when I stage a Balanchine ballet so that they can get the style right and the technique and the speed right, because Balanchine is fast and you need to keep up. Anyway, one of the things the reporter asked me was, of course, they always ask, did Balanchine say there was a story, or was there, how did he want the dancers to react in his abstract ballets? And then one of the girls, a young 15-year-old who was doing the first violin in Concerto Barocco, she also asked me, she said, should I smile in this? Should I be flirty? How do I do this? And, you know, the steps are very difficult alone. So what I said to her is what Balanchine instilled in us, mostly in company class, but when he got to talking, he would talk about this, is that you have to get rid of yourself. You have to step out of your own way and basically, fundamentally become a vessel for his choreography and the music. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't bring your own personality, that you don't bring your own style, that in no way I found it constricting. I found it liberating, quite frankly. And then when you hear Balanchine speak, which he's done on some recordings, and what he told us, is he really believed that this plane of existence was not the real world. I think I talk about that in another clip, that the real world is somewhere else. And it's unexplainable in words. So what he was trying to do with his ballets, and I'm sure composers too, is that they try to help us get a glimpse, open a door into the real world. So I think that's a beautiful thought, so it's worth repeating. And it's a kind of I found that it was a kind of state of bliss, dancing Balanchine's abstract ballets. Now, fun ones like Stars and Stripes, certainly Dances Concertante, which he did for me, Valse Fantasy, again, something he did for me. It fit like a glove because he knew his dancer's personality so well. So smiling came naturally, and for God's sake, don't mug and don't pander to the audience and don't layer on false emotions, and you don't have to, quote, act in a Balanchine ballet. You just be. Now that's the hardest thing to get. That's the hardest thing for a dancer to do, is to get out of their own way and just be. It takes a lot of confidence because you have a spotlight and you have the audience looking at you, and if you're a soloist, you're the only one on stage, so if you screw up, nobody else to blame but you. But in his classes, which is why I think the classes are so important, and at the end of this chat, I'm going to show you a little bit of how the dancers in Portland danced. In the class, you can teach them to just be, in a way. You can help them. I got a message here on my. Anyway, you can help them to just be, to relax, to let go. But it takes a lot of hard work and discipline to get to that level. Now we have a siren. As I said, I live near a fire station, so all the time. The school is run by Nancy Davis and Jim Lane, her husband, and they were in my company for 10 years. But they were trained at SAB in the old days when it was, you know, Oglevsky and Stanley Williams teaching, and for the women, Danilova, Brovska, really teaching them how to be ballerinas. There's nothing like it. You can't fake it. You can teach technique, but you can't teach how to become a ballerina or a premier dancer without one of those people standing in front of you. And you get it. It's osmosis. It's alchemy. It's magic. But you can't get it just from a teacher that wasn't also something. Now, I'm not saying that every star dancer is a great teacher. Far from it. And a lot of great teachers were never great dancers, per se. But there's a certain knack. And luckily for Jim and Nancy and myself, our years at SAB had some phenomenal teachers. Great teachers. So the schooling in Portland, it's called the Portland Ballet, is all along the same family line. So they've done a lot of my ballets, and I staged a lot of Balanchine for them, and it's really gratifying. I'm calling this chat paying Balanchine forward, because that's how he's alive. And I don't mean it to sound morbid, but I believe when his ballets are danced correctly, he's still alive. I feel it. I feel him. So I talk about him a lot to the young dancers. I try to make them understand as much as I can what he taught me. I was lucky. I came at a really good time in the New York City Ballet because he was doing the last of his seminars. And, you know, as I say, and I think in an earlier chat, this was a 6-day event with him teaching a 2.5-hour class and explaining everything, which he didn't always do with the company. He did shortcuts and he would, he'd talk. But this thing, he would explain why the plie was done a certain way, why the hand was held on the bar a certain way, and it all was logical and it all was organic and it all made a lot of sense. It wasn't like Vaganova, just a bunch of pretty pictures stuck together. It was all about the movement quality. So the feeling of dancing a Balanchine abstract ballet, to me it's like riding a wave, surfing. You kind of just have to let yourself go. It's very much like the Tao. I've studied the Tao a bit, and you know the saying that if you talk about the Tao, you don't know it, and if you know the Tao, you don't talk about it, because it's one of those things, like Balanchine ballets, that you can't explain it in words, that you can't define it in words. It's the doing of it that gets you to the heart of it. And I'm a big believer in coaching, and a big believer that the coaching should be people that worked with Balanchine directly, that he choreographed on, that he liked, not just somebody who was in the company, but somebody that he really emphasized that he was going to work on a lot. And there are not a lot of us left, unfortunately. So I started these chats to offer my services to the New York City Ballet, but it seems they're going in a different direction, and that's fine. They're going to do what they're going to do. I love teaching students when they're good, like the ones up in Portland. You'll see. Staging the Balanchine is just having him with me. I know it sounds funny, but it really is like having him sitting there in the room with me. And I have a notoriously good memory that's even been written about in books. So teaching, he always thought that he'd be known more as a teacher than as a choreographer, and we used to argue about that playfully. And I'd say, no, serenata lasts forever, and he'd say, no, dear, someday. They think it's, old-fashioned. He used the word banal. He liked that word. It will be banal. I said, how can Egon be banal? I mean, if it's danced correctly, it's the same with all of his ballets. They need to be danced correctly. But if they're danced correctly, they're never banal, I don't think. And the teaching of them comes from the class, as I've said before, and the classes have to be correct, and then the dancer has to let go. Nothing's worse for me than seeing a Balanchine ballet, an abstract one especially, acted. Now, the exception to the rule, there's always an exception to every rule, was Violette Verdi. And she was always acting, and I told you the story of her doing Tchaikovsky Pa, and I was standing next to Balanchine in the wing, and she finished her variation, so witty. And he turned to me and he said, well, dear, she does tell a story. And we both laughed and loved it because he adored Violette. But she was being honest, you see. She wasn't faking a story. It just was her manner, and she was such a charming woman and very articulate. So I think she told herself little stories as she was dancing. I know when I partnered her, she talked a lot. In the middle of Nutcracker Paw, she was talking up a storm. I couldn't keep a straight face. Anyway, so we'll end this with some of the dancers. I'll post their names And Eliana Kirk is the one with the large extension, and then Poppy, what's her last name? I forgot. I'll put it down on the thing. But beautiful, beautiful dancers. And then Nancy teaches. Jim is the executive director. Kate Andreas is a wonderful manager. They have a great staff of teachers up there. Jason and Michelle Davis were both dancers with the San Francisco Ballet, and she actually danced with the Royal Danish. Elizabeth Guerin, a few other teachers for the younger ones, but it's a fabulous school, and it's interesting because it's not like Gloria Govern or, say, Lourdes or somebody that danced directly under Balanchine. These two dancers, Jim and Nancy, studied at SAB for years, and then they danced 10 years with me, and then they have their school. So in a way, that's why we say it's paying Balanchine forward, because it's as authentic as we can make it. And I always like to look at old films of the dancers and go back to who inspired him. Like when I staged Concerto Barocco, I staged it for all over the world for Paris Opera and big companies and small, everywhere for 30 years. Actually, I've been doing Barocco for about 30 years. And I conferred with Allegra Kent a lot on it, and then with Suzanne Farrell, to just make sure I got it right. You know, and the same thing with Serenade. I was talking to a lot of people about Serenade. But the style comes from the class, and that's why the classes are so important. So anyway, this was a little bit of celebrating paying Balanchine forward. I wish the New York City Ballet well. I wish I were there, because I think I have something to offer them. But as one of the board members got back to me, said, I missed my shot because I'm not there. I haven't been there in a while. Which, you know, to be honest, I kind of find offensive. I missed my shot. I've still been working. I've still been staging Balanchine. But anyway, that's the mindset. And I do appreciate that I'm a completely different generation. I'm from another century, quite literally. But I did these videos so that people would see my face and see that I'm still, you know, active. And just last week, you know, you'll see, setting first movement Barocco and first movement Serenade and teaching every day is fun. It's fun. It should be fun. All right, that's the end of this chat. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I hope you're going to enjoy these little clips from one of my classes last week. Bye.
Twist, nice, good, and one, releve up, and up, and up, fifth passe, left side, in, good, next, good, lift your chest, not just legs, chest, and peek, releve, 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 passe, fourth, left arm in, good. Twist, twist, peek, releve, tempo, keep it. Use two arms, good. Stretch. Left side. Fifth, passe, fourth, spot, spot, nice. Good boys. Point your feet, toes. Okay, one, releve two, backhand, wait, fifth, up, fourth, up, 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 good. It's on peak. air with the left side, and down to the floor, way back, way back. Establish your balance. Now hold the air with the right hand, go. Up, plie, pas de bras, fifth. 1. Show me the beginning of it. All the way to the floor, down. Way back, Poppy, that's right. And come up, stay. Your best. Now dive, go for it. And up. And plie, pas de bourrée, finish. Okay, that's better. Laying up. Right arm forward, in front of your nose. That's better. Turn. Left arm, hold left arm. Hold left arm. Big second. Wings to strong fourth arabesque. Stretch. And left. Up, toenails in. Hold your right side more, right side. Good. Plie. Arms up. Open wings and stretch right arm and stay. And fifth. Good.